You brought us this research exclusively. Jasmine, where did the data come from? How are you tracking this increase?
So the data is from our proprietary forecast here at Emarketer, and we have a multi-source methodology where we have a team of forecasters that regularly goes through a variety of different sources, from third-party research firms to interviews with advertisers, and looks at broader macroeconomic and digital advertising trends to put together these forecasts.
The drivers of growth, therefore, those advertisers that are returning, are they coming back with a feeling of joy and desire to spend, or is there something else going on here?
Look, first, I would say that this is a recovery, not a rebound. Even with the growth that we are projecting, X's ad business in 2025 is still going to be smaller than Twitter's ad business was back in 2019. And to your question, some of this growth is actually being driven by fear. There are plenty of advertisers out there now who see spending on X as kind of a cost of doing business in order to mitigate any potential legal or financial repercussions. The problem, of course, is that fear is not a sustainable motivator. Luckily for X, it's not just fear that's driving this growth. It has also been able to secure a new base of advertisers, including small and medium-sized businesses, which is something that Twitter historically struggled with. The problem there is that these advertisers have less money to spend, and so while they're helping to prop up the growth, we're still not seeing spending levels reach the same heights as they were prior to Musk's takeover.
Okay, so take us back to, you put the $2.25 billion basically expected for 2025. What is that versus pre-$40 billion acquisition by Elon, and where does it go from there?
So it's smaller than it was in 2019. And of course, Twitter saw very strong growth like other social ad businesses during the pandemic, which means that pretty much all of that growth that it gained is lost. We're still expecting the ad business to continue growing in 2026 and 2027, which is the end of our forecast. But of course, we have less visibility into those years because the situation is still incredibly volatile. There's still a lot of concerns about brand safety among advertisers. And as those attitudes continue to evolve, we could see shifts in spending. Of course, there's also the economic uncertainty that's impacting advertising budgets, as well as the uncertainty at TikTok. So there's a lot of different moving parts that could change how advertisers spend their budgets.
When you talk of the advertisers who are coming back, whether it's through fear or a desire to access new products, have the main ones that took on Elon come back? Has Disney come back, for example?
We don't have an exact list of all of the advertisers that have returned. What we do know is that many of the big tech advertisers have returned. There was also reports that Apple, for example, which was once a target of Musk's, has returned. But there's plenty of evidence to show that many of these companies are returning to spend, though again, not at the same levels as previously.
I like how you brought in TikTok there as well. We're all waiting as to what April the 5th really brings. But would X benefit from TikTok being taken off the scene? It feels like it's always a meta driver rather than an X driver.
So the biggest beneficiaries of TikTok disappearing would be Meta and YouTube because of Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. They're obviously the most natural fits for users, for creators, and for advertisers. In January, we actually released an analysis that showed that about 50% of reallocated TikTok ad dollars in the US would go to Meta and YouTube. There would be, other spending to other platforms, potentially also X, but mostly to other social platforms like Snapchat, perhaps even Pinterest. We saw some of that during TikTok's brief shutdown, as well as other players, competitors to TikTok and other industries, thinking about retail media like Amazon or even streaming services, because TikTok touches so many aspects of our digital lives.
Very briefly, we've only got about 30 seconds. The competitors to X, are they thriving or not?
Well, what's been really interesting to see is there's been a resurgence now as well in growth in some of these competitors. We saw after the election, of course, that Threads and Blue Sky saw many new users coming onto the platform, and that seems to be sticking. But even as X has lost users, both of those platforms remain significantly smaller.